Hey everybody, Nathan here. Just want to mention that we did have a few audio technical difficulties with the recording of this episode. At the very end of this episode, Sam's audio cuts out and it is just me talking without Sam. So we had to do some editing of this episode and I apologize for that. It's a little clunky, but I assure you we will fix this going forward. Thanks again and enjoy the episode.
In the dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the Earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully catalogued and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more. For friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, a proud production of the Weston Media Podcast Network. In this cinematic crusade, we journey through films on VOD and streaming platforms, deciding their fate, salvation in our vault of legends, or eternal banishment in the flames of the coming asteroid apocalypse. You can find all of our episodes of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, or find us on social media at Back to the Frame Rate. I am Nathan Schur, and accompany me tonight, aka the Budget Harry Tasker, or Sam Time to Tango Cole.
Yes, hello, it is me, Harry Tasker. I work for the Omega Sector. I help the world. We have to fight terrorists. We have to keep America safe. This movie is better than The Last Action Hero because I kill more people in it and I'm more likable. So glad to be here. And here's my pal, Sam Cole. Hey, Arnold. Good to meet you, buddy. How are you?
The Omega Sector, the last line of defense. Is this the worst name ever for like a secret covert government agency?
I know they might as well call it like top secret big top dog agency.
Yeah, maybe not the best writing. I don't know.
Right.
But well, there you go. We watched and we're talking about 1994's True Lies from James Cameron, the second film in our James Cameron, mini retrospective. But this is what we're doing this week. And we'll get to that in a couple minutes, our thoughts on that. But Sam, just wanted to catch up with you first. How are you? How have you been?
I am pretty good. I cannot believe it is the end of November. I mean, I can believe it, but it's been going by so fast. I'm good. I'm back in LA. Been steadily doing acting work, which has been going surprisingly well. So I can't complain. Pretty happy. But yeah, 2025 is almost over. My God.
I know. It seems like we just did our live show like a few months ago. It seems like
it really does. Yeah. Like that was just like boom. Yeah. Craziness.
Yep.
But all good over here. Yeah.
Sounds great. Great to hear. Some people maybe are new to the show or haven't listened for a while. I'd like you to, if you don't mind, I didn't prompt you for this, but you have a YouTube channel. You do a lot of traveling. I thought maybe you might want to mention that. What is you? Yes.
Yeah. Your timing is actually uncannily perfect because the show, my YouTube channel is called Walks of World, and I do travels and I go on adventures, visit movie locations. But on January 1st, 2026, the same show is continuing, but I'm rebranding the YouTube channel and changing the title. So stay tuned when we do another review. I will tell you the new title of my YouTube channel, same show, same content, just rebranding. But yes, travel channel, go on adventures. And I have a bunch of episodes in the can, which I have not edited yet. So good stuff is coming up, including Navarre Beach in Florida, where the majority of Jaws 2 was shot. So that should be interesting.
That's great. Excellent. I love your channel, Sam. It's always great stuff.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Helen is having an affair. Sorry.
All right. Well, I don't really have much to plug or to update our listeners on. I've been doing some more writing.
Awesome.
Hopefully, maybe 2026 is the year I get a production done. We'll see, a short film or something. We'll see. But
I think the force will be with you in 2026 because 2026 is also the 250th year of our republic, 1776, 2026. Yes. So there is hope. There is optimism. And the midterms, yay. So,
hope in our heart. Yes.
There's hope in our heart. Hope never dies. Just like James Bond. No, but he did, though, in the last movie. So that's not accurate because he got blown up. But yeah, there'll be like another one. Yeah.
Son of Bond or Bond's puppy or something. Yeah, it's all coming.
It's all coming.
I'll be on Amazon Prime. So
glorious times are ahead. Yes, glorious.
Yes. Well, if our president wants it to happen, it'll happen. That's how movies work now.
That's true. I'm just excited about the midterms. But I did hear that Donald Trump, and this is true, wants a Rush Hour 4, and it's been greenlit at Paramount, and I can't believe it.
Yeah. Our administration now dictates what movies will be made now. That's the world we live in.
It's crazy world. I don't know what to make of it. We're living in the upside down.
Maybe we'll get Hellboy 3 next. Who knows?
Hey, there you go. Good visuals. Yeah.
Anyways, well, I think we've danced around this enough. Let's start talking about True Lies from James Cameron. I have a plot synopsis here. Actually, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about let's do the plot synopsis here, and then we'll get into the details of this. So here we go. A fearless, globe-trotting terrorist battling secret agent has his life turned upside down when he discovers his wife might be having an affair with a used car salesman while terrorists smuggle nuclear warheads into the United States. That's what they distilled this plot down to. That's interesting. This is from IMDb. So,
It's an interesting phrase.
Yeah. Logline. There's a lot that happens in this movie, and this is the log line. That's interesting. Shall I play a trailer?
Cool.
Yeah, why not? It's somewhere here. Here it is.
For 15 years, Harry Tasker's been leading a double life.
Mr. President, one of our best men is inside.
Transmitting now.
Right on time.
I don't believe I've met you before.
Rehnquist. Harry Rehnquist.
Listen to the following code word. Helen. Helen.
Now, they're about to collide.
What's your exit strategy?
I'm gonna walk right out of the front gate.
May I see your invitation, please?
Sure. Here's my invitation.
Oh, yeah, that worked good. Right out the old front gate.
Give me back a second.
Mr. Tasker's office.
Hi, it's Helen. Is he in?
Harry's in a sales meeting, Mrs. Tasker.
It's not like he's saving the world or anything.
I see, this is the problem with terrorists. They're really inconsiderate when it comes to people's schedules.
Got some good Don LaFontaine in there.
Is that the preview guy's voice?
Yeah.
Does he still do? Is he alive?
No. I think
I'm so sorry.
He's worked in 20 years, even if he was alive. So.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just listening to that and I was like, God, I missed that preview guy's voice. That was the best. Like he did the preview for Willow and he was like, Willow in a magical George Lucas universe. And I was like, yes.
Bygone era.
Oh, absolutely.
True Lies came out on July 15th, 1994. Pretty packed summer.
Yeah.
Debuted at number 1 that week. 25.9 million. Sam, do you know what was number 2 that week?
So True Lies was number 1 that week?
On July 15th.
Okay. I'm going to say 2 on July 15th.
Pretty good at this.
Would be Forrest Gump.
Wow. Yes, in its second week. Just behind it at 24.1 million.
Interesting.
Number 3.
3. Okay.
I can give you hints too.
I'll take the hint because I have a guess, but the hint will
it was in its 5th week of release.
Ooh, 5th week.
Bringing in 16.9 million.
The Flintstones?
No. But it was animated.
Oh, The Lion King.
Yes.
Wow, yeah. That's right. I thought The Lion King came out later for some reason. Yeah.
And at number 4 Also debuting its first week with 8.9 million, a family film.
A family film. We got
about a type of sporting event. And
not Mighty Ducks, no.
No, wrong sport. Baseball.
A League of Their Own?
Nope.
Wow, I am failing over here. Damn. I don't know. Air Bud? I have no idea.
No, Angels in the Outfield.
Angels in the Outfield. Okay.
All right. Actually, I've never seen.
I never would have gotten that one. Yeah.
And at number 5, in its 6th week of release, so another action movie. Probably, took away some of the box office from this.
Speed?
Yes, 5.1 million.
Yeah.
And I think there'd be a good argument for Speed versus True Lies this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the better action film. And maybe we could talk about that later.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a top 5. I don't feel like doing the whole top 10. It didn't interest me.
Yeah.
But so total domestic gross was 146.2 million, 378.9 worldwide. And if you adjusted for inflation, that'd be 830 million by today's numbers.
Wow.
So not bad.
Pretty
bad.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I remember because I just remember numbers not as big as Terminator 2.
No.
Which in the US alone was 200 million and worldwide was 500. So still a hit, but T2 was the bigger hit 3 years earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of T2, music for this score was done by Brad Fiedel, who did both Terminator and T2. And cinematographer was Russell Carpenter, who James Cameron would do several projects with later on. He did Titanic and the most recent 2 Avatar movies. He's doing Fire and Ash and Way of Water. And the only other thing I'll mention is that this is based on a 1991 film I saw, La Totale, I guess, by Claude Zidi, Simon Michael, and Didier Kaminka Emili, I guess. And I think I don't know if you have any more information on this, but I saw somewhere that I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger is the one that brought this film to maybe James Cameron because he saw this perhaps and wanted this to be done by Cameron because based on this film that he saw in 91.
100%. Yeah. He totally brought it to James Cameron and pitched the project to him. And then he and James Cameron both watched the French film. And immediately James Cameron was like, oh, I see what your vision for this. I see what you're going for. And so then it went from there. And actually, one more fact, after Titanic, James Cameron was interested in doing True Lies 2 over Terminator 3, but September 11th happened. And that obviously took, terrorism isn't that funny anyway. But at that point, it was just the comedy was gone from the situation. So they abandoned the project. I argued they could have made it like a James Bond movie and just had him fight other villains. But I understand why the project kind of didn't materialize. But it would have been interesting to see what a True Lies would be like in the early 2000s.
Yeah, well, it would have been difficult because this movie, I don't know if we want to tiptoe around this, but there's some obvious stereotyping of Middle Eastern characters in this.
Oh my God,
in
yes.
Post 9/11 lens, it's very hard to ignore.
Yeah.
It's leaning heavily on caricatures and portrayals of Middle Eastern people. All the villains are very one note with no cultural nuance, and they're buffoons in this. And it's, it is action comedy. But I think we had to acknowledge that, but also the context of the era as well. It's par for the course for Hollywood to do this at the time.
At the time, yeah. And after September 11th, it's just like, it doesn't, yeah.
But I think it's important just to mention that this was, it's a little cringy at times. A lot of it is actually.
It's undeniably noticeable. Yeah, I can't hide from it. Yeah.
Anything else, Sam, before we dig into the?
I think that's about it. Just the gist of it. His project after Terminator 2 at the time in 1994. It was the most expensive movie ever made. After Terminator 2 was the most expensive movie ever made at the time, then this one was also very expensive.
First one to go over 100 million, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll say briefly that even though the movie is 31 years old.
Yeah.
You can still see the budget on the screen. I noticed that it seems like the amount of streets they closed down for this movie for exterior scenes. I'm just like, oh my God,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a marathon shoot as well, filmed over 7 months and all over the East Coast. I'm from the Florida Keys up to Newport. I forgot about the local shooting up here.
They did. And honestly, the CGI like Alps in the background, they don't look that bad. 30, like you're way more aware now that it's a visual effect than you would be in 94, but it still looks pretty good.
Yeah. What else here? So here, let's talk about the Arnold Schwarzenegger of it all here, because at the time going into this, he was one of the biggest stars on the planet, and I think it's safe to say this is probably his last hurrah. Really as a giant star, and this was a big success, but it really was downhill after this. Why do you think this was the last giant movie for him?
Well, I was thinking about that. First off, the summer before that, he was in The Last Action Hero, which really underperformed against Jurassic Park. It opened up the same week. So I think he was really wanting a hit. And so I feel like he approached James Cameron and was like, let's make True Lies. I want to make a big action movie back to form. And it worked because audiences came to this. I don't know the reasoning. I mean, I think he was in some decent movies after that. I wouldn't say that he fell, but I will say, just as an audience member, this movie, True Lies, is like the last robust, like big budget, well done action movie. And then there's some like really weaker ones, like The Sixth Day, and Eraser came out in 1996, and that was okay. But they were
Eraser actually wasn't a bomb. I know. I was looking at the box office for a lot of these.
It wasn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It didn't fail. I just feel that like some of them were good, but James Cameron, when he works with Arnold, it's like the best. The two of them make their like best action work, and I just feel like Arnold was in some like mid-tier action movies. A lot of them didn't flop, but I don't like. I remember them in title alone, but some of them just left no impression. Like End of Days, I think that was 1999, and that was all right, but I wasn't really that into it.
I wonder if it's just the overall projects, because you just think about like the Terminator franchise and Running Man and Predator. These were just became iconic films, and not that these other movies don't have the same camp that these other ones did. I mean, I look at maybe they didn't. I mean, like I actually remember seeing End of Days in the theater.
Me too. Yeah.
I remember being entertained by some of these. I don't remember enjoying The Sixth Day that much, but did they become not fun? I'm trying to think what it is, because he's bringing himself to all of these movies. His acting, he has his range. He has what he brings to these. So is it the budgets for these? Is it did the world just get tired of his shtick? I'm just kind of curious what it is. I think of the movie like Sunset Boulevard. The pictures got he's big, but the pictures got small or something. What's the quote from that movie?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. It's like the scale. In his later movies like that, it felt like he was just in mid-tier action movies that he happened to be the star of. Whereas movies like Predator or Terminator, or even True Lies, they feel like big Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicles. And then after that, the movies here, and they're like okay scripts that he happens to be the star of, but it's almost less about him. I also like some of those movies. The Sixth Day, I only saw once. I remember it having some really bad, like early 2000s, like CGI. Like the movies just look cheaper to me or something.
I think it's also how action movies changed in the mid 90s as well. Like what actors like Bruce Willis were bringing to it, where it wasn't just about muscle and the kill count. It was about good stories as well. When action stars like Mel Gibson, I'll even throw out there, or Bruce Willis, were becoming a much more nuance, bringing more nuance and layered characters to action films.
Right.
And I think that's what the audience started to crave.
Like, and then like late 90s, you have like Will Smith and then like Keanu Reeves and The Matrix. Like there was a shift kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. And what Arnold brought to these movies, he didn't have that kind of range, perhaps what it was. And making movies like True Lies or Last Action Hero, or, he even tried to bring back, Terminator 3, come back with that, many years later. And it just didn't have that same, magic. So
it really didn't. Really, like, brief, sad story about Terminator 3 was Edward Furlong, the original kid, was gonna be in it. And they said to him, they were like, you cannot do any drugs. You have to be clean for this. He said, okay, they were going to sign his contract. He went out that night and he's like, I'm going to have my last hurrah, guys. And he did this huge amount of cocaine, OD'd. The press was there. And it was basically like, all right, you're out. And it's too bad, because if he was in that, to see him like good shape and health, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, that might have helped Terminator 3. But
it might have.
He's doing better now. Like, I don't mean to, like, nothing. It's addiction is serious. And like, I'm glad he's improved. But like, that was an unfortunate situation back then, 25 or 22 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yep. What other notes do I have here before I don't know how much we'll get deep into like plot pieces of this, because this plot is so much going on here. I just want to make a comment on the structure of this movie. This, 1994, this is a 2-hour and 20-minute action comedy. This is a unicorn of a movie. This, first of all, would not happen today. An action comedy, a 2-hour and 20-minute action comedy, it's like they would never get greenlit, no matter who was headlining this.
Different era, yeah. So true.
And I watched this movie twice over the last 2.5 weeks, because I wanted to make sure I was really engaged with this, the jokes, the action. I wanted to make sure I was really taking all this in. And my first thought is that for an action comedy, the action, I think, is very good. It's got great set pieces. I think the comedy has moments where it's very good, but it's not. A lot of this comedy is hit and miss in this, and I really don't know what this movie wants to be at times, because I think about like Last Action Hero. I think this is an improvement over Last Action Hero.
Oh yeah,
I think they're very similar, but this movie is. I learned on the second viewing. I mean, I did see this movie like back in the day, but I watched this 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, what is this movie trying to be? And then I watched it a second time about 4 days ago, and I'm like, this movie is not meant to be taken seriously. There's nothing in this movie that is realistic or should be taken seriously. And I think if you look at it that way, you watch it this way, the way these villains are portrayed, the way that the relationship with Helen and Harry is, and the way all these characters interact, if you can just kind of like, this is a comedy. If I look at this as a comedy, it works so much better. It's just that the problem is it's not super funny is the thing. But if I put myself in that mindset, I enjoyed it a lot more. It's just that there is all these giant, big action set pieces in here, which go on a long time. And I thought this movie could have been an hour and 50-minute movie or so. This movie does not need to be this long. But those are my first initial thoughts on this.
I totally hear that. It's an interesting hybrid of a movie. It's almost like the opening third is like a James Cameron rah action comedy, and then there's a movie within the movie with Bill Paxton in the middle that's like its own other movie, and then after that it's like, okay, now back to the terrorists and the action, and then you have this third act which has gargantuan action the size of a James Bond film, if not bigger. So it's a weird, interesting hybrid. I will say, just because we just recently watched The Abyss, even though these movies like don't have anything to do with each other, I have a lot more fun watching this movie than I did. I enjoy this movie more. I know what you mean. The comedy is uneven. For me, that can be hit or miss. I do love Bill Paxton. I do think Jamie Lee Curtis is great.
Yes.
For
She
me,
got nominated for Golden Globe and won the Saturn for this. So she earned it all. Yeah.
For me, that's what sells it. And for me, some of the set pieces are so well orchestrated and so spectacular that like it's almost like even though James Cameron is making an action comedy, he cannot help but like give into his instincts to go massive. And he does that like every single time. And I like some of those scenes, like the bridge and the Harrier jet still look pretty amazing today. But yeah, it's an odd hybrid. Like T2 Terminator 2 just like knocks it out of the park. This movie is more like, well, this was good. That was a little weird. This is good. Like it's more uneven, but it's a wacky, fun, strange ride.
It is. It's like nothing else I think I've ever seen in an action movie or action comedy. It is a real hybrid, weird movie in a lot of ways. Bill Paxton, by the way, rest in peace, because he steals this movie.
He's amazing.
Bill Paxton steals movie, but you know what? I almost wish that he was in more of this, but honestly, he's in just the right amount. And I think if the bit had gone on longer, it would have probably been too much. Everything that he is in, every scene he is in is my favorite part of this movie, I have to say. And that's the movie that this is. When I watched it the second time, is this kind of comedy. By the way, I had to capture the Bill Paxton, Arnold Schwarzenegger car ride, because it is, I could watch that over and over and over. Audience, it is pretty vulgar scene, but it's the best part of this movie. For my money, it is. Here it is.
If you really want to close escrow, well, you got to have an angle. Suppose you have an angle. It's killer. I mean, look at me. I'm not that much to look at. No, I can be honest. But I got them lining up. And not just the skanks either. Well, some are. So what's the angle? Oh, no. Sorry. Trade secret. So who are you working on right now? I always got a couple on the hook, you know. There's this one right now. I got her panting like a dog. It's great. What does she do? Some sort of legal secretary or something. You know, uptight and conservative. Oh, but she could be so hot if she wanted to be. Yeah, but you, she gets to be real hot, huh? Red hot. Yeah. Her thighs steam. It's like a dying plant, just needs a little water. Married to some boring jerk. Married to some boring jerk. Yeah, you know, he doesn't appreciate her. She's like all these babes. You get their pilot lit, they can suck start a leaf blower. Oh, God, she's got the most incredible body. And a pair of titties make you want to stand up and beg for buttermilk. Ass like a 10-year-old boy.
First of all, ass like a 10-year-old boy. That's kind of cringe.
Yeah, that line was cringe to me when I was like 13 seeing this movie. I was like, what?
But it's perfect for Simon, you know?
Oh yeah, for his character.
I just love that whole thing, you know, how Harry punches him finally. I don't know, he breaks his neck even. It's so gross, it's so bloody. It's just this great misdirect. And
I love it because when I first saw that, I thought it was real, and then and then it cuts to him laughing. And at that moment, I saw that in the theater with my father, and we both turned to each other like, "Oh, that was clever."
There actually, if you seek it out on YouTube, there is a remix version of it where Arnold punches him like 10 times in the car over and over and over after he says something obnoxious to him, and it just keeps going and going and going and going where he knocks him out. It's a wonderful
that's awesome
mix up. So the whole Simon character is written so wonderfully, and there's so much nuance and detail in his performance that I didn't even pick up the first time I watched this. When he brings Helen to his trailer, or AKA his safe house,
right?
I love the little details, like he says things like, you know, his place is in the city is too hot, so, you know, and so is his place in his New York penthouse. Did you ever notice that when they clink glasses, they're plastic?
Yes.
And they don't clink. They actually make a plastic sound. So I didn't even notice that until the second time I watched this week. And that's such a great touch. I mean, the guy's such a loser that they actually made a point to give him plastic wine glasses.
And that brings up a great, I really liked Peter Lamont did the production design in this, and he's done a lot of like production design for big Bond movies. I noticed the production design a lot in this viewing between like the Omega offices and the way they looked, especially Harry Tasker's home. Like when he's talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, there's like a little treadmill in their bedroom and there's a VCR and there's a TV. Like they do a lot of like set dressing to make this look like average couple's house. There's visual stuff all over the place, and just looking around in the walls of the background and like Bill Paxton's trailer, there's just little details of like the visual design of this movie, the world of like the big CIA world versus the home world. I thought the contrast in that was pretty good. Also, it's funny because now it's like over 30 years later, some of the technology is so antiquated that back then it was like, you're like, whoa, you've got sunglasses where you can like look at a screen and see what's behind you.
Yeah.
And now it's like, whoopity-doo, but it doesn't take, I really enjoy it. But at the time that was like, holy shit, this is high tech,
Yeah. No, great. And the last thing I'll just say about Simon, because I just love how well he's written. When Simon and Helen are, I think, meeting at a diner, there's a piece of dialogue where he says, "Are you sure you weren't followed?" And this cracks me up so much. I kept turning and looking behind me like you taught me, but I didn't see anyone. And the funny thing is, like, no spy would have really advised that, to keep turning around and looking around. And it's just like, it just like tips his, his hand now. Like, this guy is a joke, and it's just really wonderfully constructed character.
He's amazing. Like, I love that he has a coda at the very end where he shows up at that party. That was great. This is such a random nitpicky comment, but I streamed this movie and it was in 4K. And so I was like really like big screen looking at the visual details, and it does not bother me that much, but there are some shots where, oh my God, you can see an Arnold Schwarzenegger stunt double, like
the horse
with a vengeance. The horse, holy
so
crap!
bad.
Yeah.
It is so bad. I actually made a big note with exclamation points on here that the stunt double work on that horse is incredibly noticeable, and it's terrible. But by the way, one of the highlights of this movie is that horse motorcycle chase.
That was like amazing, the logistics of that. I just was watching that and I was like, oh, I could feel like money being burned as I watched that. It's like, oh my God, this is huge. And I loved it. And like that whole scene is spectacular. It's fun.
Yeah. There's no way the horse fits in that elevator, right?
No. I think they had a mechanical horse for some shots.
I was thinking so, but it was a fine animal.
Yeah. It was.
Big note. And this isn't like any major news because this is widely known, but Arnold Schwarzenegger almost died on the rooftop with the horse. Did you hear about that story though, right?
I did not hear that story.
So
no.
I don't have this right in front of me, but I read this in multiple sources that the horse on the rooftop was spooked while Arnold was on it, even though that mostly there was a stunt double on riding the horse, but he was riding toward the edge. And this really was a 90-foot drop on the Marriott Hotel. And a stuntman had to grab the horse at the last minute and save it from going off the edge of that hotel.
Oh my God.
This is a real thing. So Arnold really was close to falling off the edge of the Marriott Hotel while riding the horse.
That makes my stomach muscles tense and like that. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Crazy. By the way, no, keep going. Sorry.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say it's only like one or two shots, but there's an exterior wide shot where you see the two elevators rising up where, Schwarzenegger's on one and the bad guys on the other. There's a far away wide shot that was filmed at the Bonaventure Hotel in Los Angeles. And if you ever see the movie In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich.
Yes.
They ride up in elevators. Yes. It's the same elevators, same building. Yeah.
Wow. I remember. Yeah. That was another iconic scene. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I saw that. I was like, wait a minute, that's the same hotel. Then I Googled it and it was, but I was like, whoa, there it is. Yeah.
Of course. What else?
I will say for me, an action scene, it's not even the biggest set piece in the movie, but for me personally, one action scene that I love in this movie, the whole sequence that's like a very James Cameron-esque action scene. It's on the Florida Keys abandoned fishing village island at night when they're trapped there and he has to tell the truth with the drug. There's some comedy, but the way that is staged, it uses the foreground, the midground, and the background. There's fight choreography in the foreground. There's people running around on fire in the midground. There's trucks blowing up in the background. There's huts blowing up. There's stuntmen on fire doing backflips. James Cameron's frame is so visually dense with action, and he always loves these big, like, billowy pillars of fire and smoke. I love that Florida Keys night sequence when Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots his machine gun into the like fuel flamethrower, and there's all these gasoline trucks around for no reason because it's action set piece. But like that whole scene to me is one of those like deep action scenes towards the climax where to me it's just good quality James Cameron staged mayhem. And I love seeing all the real explosions. There's so much more CGI manipulation these days. To see all that fire and that debris, that whole set piece is very visually satisfying to me.
There's definitely some movie explosions in this that is very exaggerated. That
huge explosions for no reason.
But it's like so much. It was comical. It was comical. But that's the funny thing. I feel like it's not supposed to be at times. And
it's like totally intentional. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I want to talk about Harry and Helen, their marriage, for a little bit, because this is something that I kind of wrestle with. Do you think Harry is a good husband?
Oh man, well, honestly, like it's to be not really. I mean, like especially at the beginning, that scene that's telling when she's like, "Hey, the plumber said he would like sleep with me and knock off $100." He's like, "Oh, that's great," and he kisses her. It's like, "Ooh, that's not what she was looking for there, man." Like he's not like an awful guy, but it's pretty like he is really neglecting his family, and like the movie is not subtle about that. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
I think upon watching it the second time, I'm pretty sure that Harry might be the worst husband ever. He neglects his wife, his family, and he's been lying to her his entire life. And then he tortures her pretty much like a prisoner from Guantanamo Bay. And
that scene is
gives her psychological
infamous,
torture, makes her believe that she's going to be raped in a situation. And then he is really terrible. He does not know how to communicate to his family or his wife. So even after hearing Helen's confession that she didn't sleep with Simon and that he is in love with Harry, he still continues to this charade. I'm talking about this interrogation scene where she is like in this room and he's behind this one-way glass. We're led to believe that Harry Tasker is the hero here, but he is a terrible, terrible husband. And I feel so bad for Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie.
It's funny because I know exactly what you mean. There's kind of like, even though it's sort of intended as comedy, it's like, like dark male revenge. Like, oh, wouldn't you like to like quiz you? That scene, there's an undertone of a little weird anger. I almost feel like when James Cameron was writing that script, and I feel like he's like mad at his own ex-wife, and he's like, there's anger that betrays the tone a little bit, and you're just kind of like, well, this is a little edgy, and then it dials bit back in. So like, it doesn't bother me too much in the context of the movie, but that scene is kind of infamous, and people like young people that watch that movie today for the first time, they hate that scene, like understandably so. They're like, how come she didn't leave him? This is horrible. And I totally get it, but I also get the context of the film. So I'm kind of like on the fence with that one, if that makes any sense. Yeah. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
I get, again, context for the time, but still, like, I look at him as like, this is a man that just does not know how to communicate. You know what's funny here? I've been trying to get through the whole cast list here. Tom Arnold.
I love him in this movie. He's like, yeah.
What's wonderful about Tom Arnold is that, as I set this up before, that Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is like, even though he's Austrian, is like at this time, like the all-American superhero. This is before superheroes were like on the screen, but he was the embodiment of like, Superman, before we had, the MCU, became a thing. He was what we had instead of Iron Man.
Right.
So the funny thing is, in this movie, Harry Tasker, I think, is honestly a horrible person in many ways. I don't think he's a good person. I don't think he's a good father. I don't think he's a good husband. And he uses like government resources to follow his wife and all these things. If you look at this objectively, he does some terrible things. However,
he does.
You know who the moral compass of this movie is? Tom Arnold, of all people.
Yeah.
He is the one that is there to really shed perspective on Harry Tasker's life. And when he finds out that, hey, Helen was cheating on him, it's like, yeah, welcome to the club, man. You're the one that's neglecting your wife and your daughter. What did you expect? I just like chuckled when I realized that of all actors, of all people, that is grounding this movie is Tom Arnold. So it's who is really good in this, really funny. I don't think Tom Arnold has ever been this good or funny in anything in his life.
It was great. And you're right. He kind of grounds Arnold because like it's a fine line between there's like a weird, there's like a male revenge fantasy in this movie that gets a little dark, and like Tom Arnold kind of reels it in. Male revenge fantasy meaning not everyone feels that way, but like it almost feels like it's written for the guy like, yeah, go Arnold. If my wife was cheating on me, I'd do the same thing. There's a bit of like kind of toxicity under the surface there that kind of comes and goes, but like Tom Arnold like lightens it up. You know what I mean? So I know what you're saying there. I will say though, I think James Cameron really knows how to use Schwarzenegger's performances to maximum effect and comedic effect in scenes like when Jamie Lee Curtis is lying about her day and he's sitting there at the dinner table and the camera pushes on his face and you hear his heart pounding, or when they break in to Bill Paxton's cabin and you can see Arnold Schwarzenegger's like wide eyes through his ski mask.
Yes.
That is hilarious.
Yes. It is. Yeah. It's funny. We kind of been jumping all around this pot here a little bit, but with the Helen character, Jamie Lee Curtis, when she is sent on her mission, I think we have to talk about this, sent on her mission to go to the hotel, to seduce or, to plant a bug. That's what it is. To plant a bug for this, I don't know, this French arms dealer or something. I'm not too sure what it is. She's asked to show up dressed sexy. And she comes in, I call it like sexy Victorian after dark secretary or whatever, for the PTA, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Where if ruffles, lace, and shoulder pads were a thing, and her transformation, in the hallway, it's a really great iconic moment. But I love the fact that still underneath all this, it's still the Helen character, because as she's walking toward the door, she's tripping over herself on her heels.
Yeah.
And
brilliant touch.
Helen striptease, this was formative scene for many boys, I'd probably say, growing up.
I was definitely 13 when I saw that. Yeah.
Yes. This goes on a long time.
This is a really long
scene.
Yeah.
I love how, though, when Arnold has the tape recorder and the voice says like, dance sexy. And she starts doing what looks like maybe like the Hustle or the Funky Chicken or something. I don't know what it is. Right. But his character, Harry, knew that she was going to do this. It's like, no. And dance. He knew already that she wasn't going to do the right, like kind of sexy dance at first.
Right.
So this was already part of the tape that was pre-recorded. What I don't get though, and again, this is, it's a very iconic scene, but how does, again, I'm checking my brain here. There's no world that Helen does not recognize her husband in this, the shape of him, his silhouette. And then when he comes over to her and he's on top of her, his smell, his body's right there. It's impossible. And then his grunting after she hits him. It does not fly.
It's
This is
a real
bridge too
stretch
far.
there. Yeah. It's a real stretch. And like they're like, oh, well, because he's really lit in shadow. You know what I mean? But I know what you mean. It's a real stretch. Yeah, yeah.
Like, I can't think of anybody who's been married to somebody for 15 years and would not recognize them sitting in a chair 15 feet in front of them, no matter how in silhouette they are. No.
And what's funny is it's interesting because like Cameron actually has like a lot of like really strong women in his films, like, you know, like feminist and progressive, and like the way he deals with some of the more chauvinist elements in this movie is he has her punch Arnold a lot. She hits him with a telephone and then she punches him in the Florida Keys, but like she fights back by like punching him in the face, which is like I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
There is that. I thought of you in one scene when you talk about like James Cameron's writing, and there's the guy who's like doing the voice for like Arnold Schwarzenegger's, and he's recording it, and he's like, "Do it sexy, do it," and he's like, "Who wrote this shit?" And I was like, "James Cameron wrote it."
You brought up the bass in the Florida Keys. I do think that's a really great set piece. I hate the part where Helen grabs the Uzi and drops it and then takes out all the bad guys while the Uzi's falling down the stairs. Stuff like that, I just want to just roll my eyes and turn the TV off. It's like, come on.
There are moments in this that it feels like a big budget Roger Moore James Bond film. Yeah.
I saw that. I'm thinking I'm watching Hot Shots Part 2, you know, when I see things like that. That's where the territory we go into. Like, I wanted to pick a lane. It can be an action comedy where we can have funny jokes. We can be in Lethal Weapon territory where it's action. We're cracking jokes. It's funny, things like that. But then we get into just ridiculousness where we are now in like Looney Land, and this movie ventures into that sometimes. And that's where like I just want to like bring it back, James. And this is where I struggle with it sometimes. I'm not negative on this movie. I just wanted to pick a lane sometimes, and all of a sudden it does something wacky like that, where like the Uzi falling downstairs, like it didn't have to be that. It could have been Helen coming through with the Uzi and taking them out, and maybe she closes her eyes and does the whole thing. But Uzis don't kill all the bad guys and none of the good guys just by falling downstairs.
Yeah, it shifts tonality. Sometimes it goes from like wacky comedy to like full on R-rated action. Speaking of the R rating, I mean, I know there's like striptease and like the foul language, but like the violence in this movie, it feels is very like light R to me. Like the language isn't, but like Terminator 2 is like bone crunching R rated violence with like knives going through people's eyes. But the action in this is relatively bloodless, in my opinion. Yeah,
I wonder if this got an R rating mostly for like language.
I think it did. Yeah.
I wonder if this movie would have been a bigger success as a PG-13 movie. Because if you told me this movie was PG-13, I would not have been surprised, except for like the language from like the Bill Paxton character. It was very vulgar.
Yeah, that's like hardcore. Yeah. So it's a hybrid. It shifts a lot. I do love
it's a special unicorn, I call it.
That it really is. I love I think when the bridge is out and he's like dangling off the helicopter. The bridge is out. I feel like that scene is like one of the more spectacular stunt sequences I've seen. Oh, yeah. Like that delivers incredibly well. And on a humorous note, when the bread van with the terrorists is like hanging off the bridge and the pelican lands on the thing, I love that. One of the guys in that truck in the background, his name is Gino Salvano, and I actually know that guy. He was at the American Film Market the other week. He's an actor, producer, and I was talking to him about True Lies, and like he's like doing really well today. And so now,
why is he on the show tonight? Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, but like I talked to him about that, and like he had a great experience, but like it's now that I have met him, it's weird seeing that like the shots go by really quickly, but he's in the back of the truck like and the pelican lands and they fall off and blow up. Yeah. It's another ridiculous explosion. Like it just lands in the water and
drops explodes 30 feet into the ground and it just blows up. Like the whole van just explodes. Like it's a fireball, just an absolute fireball. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, explosions everywhere.
There's a nuclear bomb that goes off in this movie, and
Yeah.
the other thing I just love is how when this bomb goes off, they go to a safe distance, but still, I love that James Cameron turns this into a romantic moment between Helen and Harry, and there's no concern for fallout or anything like that. Just don't look at it, it's great.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, there's not even a shot. There's not even I thought when it blew up in the background that the palm trees would like sway from like impact, and like it's just like, hey, nuclear blast, whatever.
It was a little nuclear bomb.
It was a little nuclear. It was buried. Yeah.
Yeah. So, another great practical action sequence is when Harry commandeers the Harrier jet, and they really had to rent from, I guess, the Air Force or the Navy or so, a couple of Harrier jets.
They had
a fortune.
Actual cooperation with the U.S. military in this movie. Yeah. And I can understand why the U.S. military, like, you want to make a plot where we're awesome and we kill a bunch of terrorists? Hell yeah, we'll cooperate.
We'll blow up some bridges, sure.
Yeah. And I feel like an idiot blanking on her name, but who is the actress that plays the like evil woman?
Tia Carrera.
Tia Carrera. She's great, and she's great in this movie. Like I like her story. Like she fits into the world of this movie. This movie feels like James Cameron's comedy action version of a Bond film in some regards. Yeah.
Speaking of Bond, we're going to get right back to the end here for a moment. We haven't even mentioned Charlton Heston is in this movie. Like he walked off of an Austin Powers set.
I love him in this movie where he's like, Harry, you really screwed the pooch this time.
Yeah. And he's got a really small part in this, but what the hell? Is this, I mean, Charlton Heston is bringing what he brings to a movie, but I am just scratching my head. Like once he showed up in this movie, I've become something else. It becomes Austin Powers movie. It's what is it? Or Roger Moore 70s era, Bond film.
It really does have that feel. It feels like an R-rated, tougher version of a Roger Moore Bond film. Really, it does. And I also oh my God, I know this actor's name. He was also on Dante's Peak. It's the other guy that's with Tom Arnold that's on their team.
Yeah.
I love that guy. And there's a great line. My favorite line. It's like, why do they call him the Sand Spider? And he's like, probably because it sounds scary.
So Harry grabs the Harrier jet, which what I love is, though, again, this is not CGI. I'm guessing maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger is composited in somewhere in here when he's taking off, because I don't know, but this is really a jet taking off on right up by the Florida Keys there, on the Florida Keys. But it's a great little use of practical effects there.
It's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's really good stuff. But this gets to a part of the movie that I don't like very much. So we briefly meet earlier in the movie Harry and Helen's daughter, Eliza Dushku, who has a pretty small part of this movie. And the terrorists, by the way, I don't think we've mentioned this name, but Art Malik, who plays Salim Abu Aziz in this, is the main terrorist bad guy in this, who I think is really good.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
I read this somewhere else, but they say he looks like the Middle Eastern Andy Kaufman, which I think is a brilliant way of describing him.
Oh, wow, that is brilliant. I never thought of that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's really good in this. When Eliza Dushku's, or whatever her character's daughter's name is, steals the key, and her idea of escaping is to climb up to the top of the building, and she's being chased out onto the ladder and that whole thing. But the problem I have with this is this becomes like, now rescue the daughter, and I think what I don't like is that. First of all, I don't think what's her character's name here again? I had it. Dana. So Dana. So I think there's a real lost opportunity here where the Harry character is rescuing his daughter, and Dana doesn't even know at this point still that I think that her father is working for is a spy, maybe. I mean,
and by the way, how did they kidnap her in the middle of the night when they're in the Florida Keys and she lives in Washington, D.C.?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, like that actually, I thought about that. I was like, what?
So like I said, I think this is a shortcoming, and this is my complaint about the movie, is that Dana Tasker's role isn't fleshed out nearly enough. She has no arc in this movie at all. And what is her relationship to her mom or dad in this? We know that she like steals some money at some point, but she has no clue what's going on. It's a missed opportunity to build up some stakes with Harry saving his daughter and proving something to himself, like coming through for her. We know that he fails coming through as a father for his wife and his daughter. He misses his birthday, that whole thing. We get that he's kind of not present with his family. And this isn't much of a different theme than like Jingle All the Way in a lot of ways, where he's trying to get Turbo Man, But I feel like there's an opportunity here. If that relationship had been fleshed out, would have meant something more that he's rescuing her. It's because she's so minimized in this most of this movie, and all of a sudden she's just kind of thrown in as a plot device at the end here. I think this movie could have worked if it was just about Helen being. I know they wanted Helen not to be a damsel in distress in this movie. That's not where her role was.
Right. But I feel that it's because it's kind of like a surface arc. It's basically like sees rebellious daughter not in line with her parents, then has this huge epic traumatic experience that they all share with the terrorists, and then at the final scene in the movie, her only arc is that she's like better dressed and looks happier. You know what I mean? She went from like rebellious daughter to like happy teenage. Now I like my parents, but that's it. Like that's the arc. It's like she's a very small character in this movie. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about?
It's funny. You talk about that scene. Like I do like the Harrier jet stuff when it's like hanging off the building and the crane and like the bad guy, like you're fired and he shoots him on the missile. That's okay. What's interesting is this movie's totally different than Terminator 2, but interestingly enough, they both have the same running length almost. Terminator 2, at the end, it's one massive climax after they escape Cyberdyne. The place blows up. They go into the steel mill. There's lava, and it's kind of relentless. It's exhausting, but in an epic way. So when you get to the end of Terminator 2, you're like, wow, I've been down an action movie road. For some reason, the very last scene in True Lies with the Harrier jet, even though it's spectacular, I'm a little bit more tired and a kind of exhausted, like I'm getting a kind of overkill vibe a little bit, which for me is something to say, because I'm the guy that I love those long action scenes, and I don't dislike it. It's just after the Florida Keys and then the highway, the 7 Mile Oasis Highway, and then the office building, which is like, feels like a Die Hard thing. And then the Harrier jet, the cumulative effect. It's spectacular, but it's just the tiniest bit numbing, even though I will say in some of those scenes, when they shot the real Harrier jet on a gimbal and like blue screened it in, it still looks awesome. It's just, I'm a little bit like, when I get to the end of True Lies, I'm like, oh, all right. Okay. And
it's
like,
okay
I'm not the guy. Yeah.
If overstays is welcome, I'm not scared to say so. These scenes go on long. Every scene is long in this, and the action scenes are long. That bathroom fight is long. There's everything here, I feel like, does overstay its welcome a little bit. So it's not bad. It's indulgent. Everything is very indulgent in this movie.
I hear that. Well, there's like a sense of like, because T2 was so spectacular, I get the sense that James Cameron is like trying to live up to his reputation. And he's like, now I got to do it bigger and better. And some of it's awesome, but it just has a different effect.
It feels very constructed. I see the scaffolding behind the everything that was put into this. That's what I feel. I feel the how it was put together. That's I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I feel the bones of this are shown.
And it's funny, and I will drop this as a random sentence. I'll drop it really fast, but I'll say that I hadn't seen this movie in years since I was younger, and I remembered it being spectacular, and it still was. But in terms of longer action scenes, and I'm surprised I'm saying this, but there is a massive set piece at the end of Avatar: The Way of Water with the boat and everyone's fighting, and I actually prefer that scene to the climax of True Lies. They're totally different films, but that's a scene where that is a massively long action scene, but I love it by comparison to this one, whereas the Harrier jet is spectacular, but it is lessened a little bit for me than what I remember it being when I was 13. Anyway, that's
fine. And finally, you mentioned the whole thing about the Salim getting fired on the rocket, and he says, "You're fired." I think that's one of the lamest final things you can say in this. And you think back to all those great one-liners that he has in other movies, like "See you at the party, Victor," or "I'll be back," or "Get to the chopper," or "Consider a divorce." You know, all these great things that he says when he's offing somebody, and then we get "You're fired." Like
this movie exists right at the crossroads between like the end of the 80s and we're going into the 90s. We're already in 1994, but it's like a swan song.
He had the split.
he had the split. Or
go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
No, it feels like a swan song, but you reminded my brain of the worst one-liner I've ever heard. No, there's two of them. It's a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. No, in one of them he goes, Jean-Claude Van Damme in Universal Soldier, he goes, "You're discharged, Sarge," and then he cuts the guy. Then my favorite one, another Jean-Claude Van Damme, then I'll shut the hell up, but he goes, there's a bad guy, a French bad guy, and Jean-Claude Van Damme comes up to him with a shotgun, and he goes, "Au revoir, fucker." And that's it.
My favorite one, I think, from the 90s is "I come in peace, you go in pieces."
And how could we forget Arnold Schwarzenegger in Batman and Robin when George Clooney goes, "Freeze, freeze."
Oh my God, we have to end it there. Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick little bumper break, and we'll come back with our decision on this whole thing.
Helen is having an affair.
Welcome to the club, man. Nobody thinks it can happen to them the first time, buddy. Same exact thing happened to me with wife number 2. Remember? I had no idea nothing's going on, right? I come home one day and the house is completely empty. And I mean completely empty. She even took the ice cube trays out of the freezer. What kind of a sick bitch takes the ice cube trays out of the freezer?
Said Helen.
Hey, Harry. Hey, listen, Helen still loves you. You know, she just wants to bang this guy for a while, you know? It's nothing serious. You'll get used to it soon.
Stop cheering me up!
What'd you expect, Harry? Helen's a flesh and blood woman, and you're never there. It's just a matter of time.
All right. We are going to move on to our final decision on True Lies with our rating and our decision, whether we are going to save or purge this film.
Woo!
Who wants to go first on this? It's just you and me. So
I guess I'll go. I enjoy it. I would give it 3.5 stars. And the extra half is because I still find the production design and the action so spectacular, even to this day, even with the uneven comedy. I enjoy it. I give it 3.5 stars. And even though I won't be like sad or thrilled one way or the other, I would save it for nostalgic purposes, because this is a movie that I would watch like 5 years from now and be like, yeah, I could watch that again. But that's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I still just recap that. You know, I think this delivers some of the best large scale action and practical set pieces of the 90s, 80s, 90s, maybe even beyond that as well. You know, the bathroom brawl, the motorcycle horse chase, the Harrier jet finale. It's big, it's clean, and I think it's executed with classic, that Cameron precision. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is generally good here, but there's some few sharp comedic beats, and there's solid action work. But I think what's interesting about this movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger. For Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle, he is the least interesting part of this movie for me. When I think about how Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, steals, big stretches of this movie with a lot of warmth, and she has a big commitment to everything that she's doing here. Tom Arnold is funnier than he has any right to be, and Bill Paxton walks off with every scene that he's in this movie, and even Charlton Heston's over-the-top cameo leave a mark on this movie. And, if for a movie that's built as an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle, I think the real pleasure comes from everyone that's orbiting him in this movie. And the side characters are so vivid and so weird and so funny that you almost wish that the story kind of wandered off to follow them instead. I could have, follow like the Tom Arnold character for a while, or what's Helen doing during this whole time?
Right. I hear
all these
that.
other characters I think are really interesting. And Harry Tasker is pretty dull, just like Helen believes he is. He is a pretty dull character, and I don't think very likable. But that said, I think this film's charm, it does have some dated elements. I think he's a bad husband, and he's emotionally unavailable. He's jealous. He's willing to put Helen through psychological torture.
It really is.
Oh
it really
my
is.
God. I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm not negative on this movie, but like there's just some cringy stuff going on here. But there is some great craftsmanship here as well, which is undeniable. And it is really entertaining. Time capsule.
Yeah.
I want to put that in, big.
Oh yeah. Definite time capsule.
So this, I really struggled with this. I'm giving this 3.5 out of 5 as well. And I flip-flop, but because I wasn't sure, and I'll save it. I'll save it because, man, there are so many better Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. But
there are, but I know what you're saying. It's not like a strong save. It's not like, oh, we gotta save this. But I feel like a kind of nostalgia. The nostalgia.
This is my weakest save ever on the show. I'm telling you,
it's a weak save. But for me, I have a strong nostalgia because when I was 13 for 6 months, and I'll keep this short, my father got a Fulbright scholarship teaching job in Brazil. And so I was a 7th grader living in Brazil, and I saw this movie, and I just remember the audience like cheering and clapping when like Arnold Schwarzenegger is about to go off the building on the horse. And then when the horse stops short and he falls over, it was the biggest, most uproarious applause. So I have a lot of I have childhood nostalgia built into it. I don't feel incredibly strongly, but I will say, just because we reviewed it recently, I could watch this movie a couple times. I don't really feel like watching The Abyss again.
No. Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And like I said, I'm saving this for the Tom Arnolds in this movie, for the Jamie Lee Curtises, for those characters that brought me, and Bill Paxton, that brought me so much pleasure and joy seeing those performances in this. And I think that James Cameron directs the hell out of this movie.
It's a soft save.
It's a soft save. All right, we're gonna save it. All right, it is done.
Welcome to the club, man.
Excuse me, can you help me? I'm in an absolute loss. I've been looking for over an hour and I'm losing my mind. What I'm in the mood for is sort of a Katharine Hepburn-y, Cary Grant-y kind of thing. Nothing heavy. I couldn't take heavy. Something zany. I'm looking for something zany. Or something modern would be fine too, like a Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chasey kind of thing. Funny. I want to laugh. I have to laugh tonight, really. Oh, do you have anything with that comedian? He's on that show. It's on the radio. The guy, he says, hey, forgive me. I get such a kick out of the way he says that. He's so goddamn adorable. That would be perfect. Didn't he make a movie? Ordinary Peepholes.
Let's move on to our next segment, which is going to be our recommendation shelf, and it is Double Lives. I guess that's a truncated version of what I had here, with basically movies about maybe secret agents or spies that are living double lives for our recommendation shelf segment. Sam, you seem to be taking the lead on a lot of things here. This is a good pairing for this week. Yeah.
So for me, and I guess, hey, this came out the same summer, 1994.
I saw that.
Jim Carrey's The Mask. It's funny, when this came out in theaters, I remember not being that interested, but I was like staying over at a friend's house and he really wanted to see it. And I went, okay. I didn't really know that much about Jim Carrey then. I hadn't like seen In Living Color. I loved it. Obviously Double Life, because he's like a quiet, like, you know, sort of nerdy, like guy that works at a bank. Then when he wears the mask, it brings out his wild side. I think The Mask is a funny Jim Carrey comedy, but it's also a good, I don't want to say old fashioned, but it's just a good, fun time at the movies with an adventure and a dance number and some impressive special effects. I think this is a good movie. It's a funny Jim Carrey movie, but it's actually has some artistry to it. I enjoy the hell out of it. So for Double Lives movies, I would strongly recommend 1994's The Mask. And I saw it again recently, and I still enjoy it. Again, nostalgia factor, but it's fun. Same summer, later that summer.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time.
Mr. Ipkiss, I feel I should warn you that I don't work personally with really sick people. They're private institutions for things like that. However, if you would like me to arrange for a safe environment for you tonight, I can do that.
I've got to see Tina. But what do I do? I mean, do I go as myself or the mask?
If I tell you, you promise to leave my office right now?
Bueller.
Bueller. There's a stupid ass line in that movie where his name is Stanley Ipkiss, and one guy says to him, "Is like, if you don't be quiet, you can Ipkiss your ass goodbye." And I would, oh, come on, guys.
I haven't seen The Mask in, I don't know how long, 30 years. So
it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I was not into Jim Carrey in that era. So I came around. I got more into him with his more dramatic roles. I'm one of the few people on the planet that has never seen an Ace Ventura movie.
I'm not a huge fan of the Ace. I don't like Ace Ventura that much. I will say I love the first 15 minutes of Ace Ventura 2 are hysterical, and the rest of the movie I could skip. But the beginning of that is so obnoxious and funny. I will watch the first 10 minutes on YouTube and crack up, but the rest of the movie is just boring. I hate to use the word boring because it's like not a good movie review word, but it is boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never got to it. I saw The Mask back in the day, and Dumb and Dumber seen a bunch of times, but yeah, never got to Ace Ventura. I think underrated is The Cable Guy. I don't know why.
I love The Cable Guy. It's so twisted.
Why that got? I don't know what happened.
It was directed by Ben Stiller. I feel like its edgy, dark tone was a little bit ahead of its time, and people that summer were like, "We wanted a Jim Carrey comedy, and this movie was disturbing." I freaking think it's hilarious. It's like there's a great line where it's like, "We all get lonely," and he's like, "Yeah, but I get really, really lonely."
All right. My pick this week for a theme of characters living double lives. And honestly, I think it's one of the strongest entries in the franchise is Mission Impossible 3. It might be my I think we have to go back to the archives on this because we talked about this one time, but I think it's my third favorite Mission Impossible movie. It might be just behind Fallout and Ghost Protocol. I have to think about it some more. I'm not sure, but a big part of that is because this movie just feels like one of the most grounded on the franchise. And this is the last movie before the series, I think, blew up into a giant globe spanning spectacle it would eventually become. Here, I think the stakes are smaller, more intimate, and incredibly personal. Ethan Hunt he's not just like this super spy with a mask kid. He's a man trying to hold on to this like normal life, and he's married to Julia, who's played by one of the Moynahans, right? Which Moynihan? Michelle.
Oh God, yeah.
Michelle Moynihan, yeah.
Who's
he's dragged back into this world, where, his normal life becomes like a target. And at the center of it is Philip Seymour Hoffman, who I still think gives the best villain performance in this entire franchise. Menacing, and he's he's calm and menacing and absolutely terrifying with every line delivery.
I have to do it, Nathan. I have to do it. I can't help myself. He's like,
are you going to spoil my clip? But you might have to, but it's okay. Go ahead.
The clip will do it better, but I cannot control myself. He's like, Ethan, do you have a wife or a girlfriend? Whoever she is, I'm going to find her. I'm going to find her and I'm going to hurt her.
Yeah, but what I like about this, it's not wall to wall like set pieces and action stunt pieces. And I think Tom Cruise gives his most textured performance as Ethan Hunt in this installment. And it's just full of small, like honest, moments that remind you that there's a human being underneath all that IMF training. So I just really, really love this one still. I think the last third of it is not necessarily the best part of the movie, but it still remains, I think, one of the franchise's high points. So, yeah.
I like it a lot, too. J.J. Abrams' directorial debut, cinema-wise. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you have a wife, girlfriend?
It's up to you how this goes.
Because you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to find her. Whoever she is, I'm going to find her and I'm going to hurt her.
You were apprehended carrying details of the location of something codenamed the Rabbit's Foot.
I'm gonna make her bleed and cry and call out your name. And you're not gonna be able to do shit. You know why?
What is a Rabbit's Foot?
Because you're gonna be this close to dead.
And who is the buyer?
And then I'm gonna kill you right in front of her.
I'm gonna ask you one more time.
What's your name?
What is a Rabbit's Foot?
Who are you?
And who's the buyer?
You don't have any idea what the hell's going on, do you?
So awesome.
It is. Yeah. All right. So that concludes our recommendation shelf segment for this week, Double Lives. And we are ready to move on to the next segment. Sam, are you ready to play a game?
Yes, I'm ready to play a game.
If we all go for the blonde, we block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls. That's the only way we win. That's the only way we all get laid.
Ron Howard in the house.
All right. Maybe someday we'll do a Ron Howard retrospective. There's so many
good smaller ones too. Yeah.
Yeah. Great film. So our game that we're playing this week, we're going to do our top 5 Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if this is really a game, but we're going to do a top 5 Arnold Schwarzenegger films or Arnold Schwarzenegger roles that he wasn't in, but should have been in.
This is so hard because like my angle is so comedic, like it's so hard.
Well, that's okay. This could be off the wall obnoxious. So these are movies that we're recasting, past movies that we're recasting with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we have no idea what's on each other's list. This could be completely a bonkers thing. I hope it is. All right. This will be fun. I can't wait for this. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah. This is going to be good.
So, by the way, this is in full respect to the legends who were originally brought these characters to life. I'm going to put that out right now. This will be no disrespect to these great actors that I'm going to list that are now going to be replaced with Arnold Schwarzenegger in these roles. But all right, Sam, you've been beginning. So
okay, so we'll start from the 5th and then go to number 1. Is that how we're doing it?
Yes. Yeah, you're number 5 down to number 1.
Oh, God, this is batshit crazy, but here I go.
Can't wait.
I can't wait. This is really like, okay, so I
wonder if we have any that are the same. That'd be funny.
This is gonzo. Like this is such a comedy choice, but I was thinking of the perfect storm and putting Arnold Schwarzenegger in George Clooney's role.
Why not?
As the captain. And he has this monologue, which I will do as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He goes, "Fog's just lifting. You're going out on the boat past Miles Pond where I used to swim as a kid. You're in charge. The seagulls are there. You know what? You're a goddamn swords boat captain. Is there anything better in the world?"
I love it. I love it. I think the movie would have made a much bigger box office.
Yeah.
For sure.
I can't even.
1999? I don't know. Maybe not.
2000. Yeah.
2000? Okay.
I cannot defend my logic. It's completely insane, but I just, yeah.
But imagine Mark Wahlberg and Arnold Schwarzenegger acting off each other.
He'd be like, come on, hold the wheel, hold the goddamn wheel. Skippy, you're totally crazy. We got to turn around. Do what you're doing. Hold it down. Look at the wave. Ah.
I love it. I love it. That missed opportunity for sure.
God.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. You want my number 5?
Yes, definitely.
See, by the way, to preface, a lot of my roles were not lead roles. I put him into like smaller co-starring roles in a lot of films. I didn't want him to take away from iconic. Well, they're all iconic roles, but anyway, here we go. So anyways, I put him in 1984's The Karate Kid.
Whoa.
At replacing Martin Kove as John Kreese.
Ooh.
I thought that would be interesting because, I think Kove gave, Kreese a perfect, that blend of like menace and ego and that old school dojo machismo, running Cobra Kai. But imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger going, no mercy, no hesitation, no weakness, no mercy is for other people. He flexes and the punching bag explodes behind him, so.
That is, that is a good,
and imagine just
actually would like be decent in that role.
Sweep the leg, do it now.
Sweep the leg, no mercy. Do it. Why can't you do it with you, some sort of girly man?
Yeah. And this is, almost peak Arnold. Not quite yet, but, put him in a black gi and suddenly the entire movie shifts from this coming of age story to a survival thriller. They wouldn't just fear losing their match. They'd fear disappointing a man who could literally bench press them.
That is actually that is a good, legitimate, mine was, I went for comedy ridiculousness. And that's actually if you were pitching that to executives, they would consider that in a real meeting. They'd be like, oh, that's not bad. Maybe somebody call Arnold's agent. Let's see if he wants to do this,
Well, wait till you get to my next pick. Then you'll be like, okay, we've lowered the bar. All right. What's your number 4, Sam?
Okay, my number 4, and I actually did this a little bit more serious. I did go supporting role. It's another crazy, bizarre one. My number 4 was he would play Val Kilmer's role in Heat. Because he doesn't talk that much, but he's really good with building stuff and shooting things. And so he's the muscle of their crime unit. And he's one last job. Why not? He's like, for me, the sun sets and rises with her. She's my life. So yeah. And the thing is the problem with that is he'd kind of dwarf, he'd be very distracting. He was in the, what was the Elliot Gould movie we saw? The really good.
Long Goodbye?
The Long Goodbye, where he's just there in that movie. And it's what? So yeah, but I think he could do the role, but he'd be distracting. But I thought I was trying to go realistic. He'd be a larger than life presence, but as a subtle guy part of him, he would not suck. He could do it. It would just be strange.
Another small role he could be in that as well. I forget the character's name, the Dennis Haysbert character in that movie too. Do you remember him?
Yeah. Yes.
It's a much smaller role, but I was thinking about he's like a short order cook in that movie, and he's one of the members of the team that's brought in. I like him in that movie. He's got a small arc in that. It's kind of a tragic arc, but
he gets brought in and he gets killed, but his life was on track, and he decides to go back one time, and he dies that day. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good movie. I want to watch Heat again.
I love that movie.
Right. Are we getting Heat 2? Isn't Michael Mann supposed to be making Heat 2?
I think we are. My Instagram every single day is guess who's in it? DiCaprio signed up and Christian Bale's, and I'm I've been hearing about Heat 2 forever. Just either make it or stop with the Instagram stories. Yeah.
All right, whatever. All right, now my number 4. I told you I'm lowering the bar here. A year after Karate Kid, there is a role in The Goonies from 1985 that is very iconic, played by John Matuszek, but he's great in it. But why not put Arnold Schwarzenegger as Sloth?
That is awesome.
And Matuzak brought like really good heart and warmth, sloth under all that makeup. But here's my idea. I'm not thinking about this as a performance, but just as a marketing tool. 1985, all right, this post-Terminator. And Arnold's greatest trick has been, using his size and intensity, set up a punchline and think, how like in T2, he's learning to smile and Kindergarten Cop, yelling, it's not a tumor. But, Arnold, gives Sloth that kind of comedic timing. And he's like a giant, this intimidating figure who suddenly turns gentle, goofy, and affectionate. And I think, it'd just be a perfect combination of Arnold playing this role. Imagine like the whole like Baby Ruth scene with Arnold on there. Baby Ruth. I don't know. I just want him to be in this.
Amazing, especially at the end when he like slides. He's like, "Hey, you guys!"
Yes. The other thing is, if Arnold played Sloth in 1985, we'd all own Sloth action figures, posters. There'd be Halloween costumes. There'd be a spin-off cartoon where Sloth and Chunk solve mysteries. It'd have its own franchise. Goonies
You would
fandom.
change the whole dynamic of that character in a fascinating way, because it'd be like Sloth is the real hero of the movie.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, So I don't know. I just feel like there was again missed opportunity. They didn't reach out to Arnold's agents to cast him in this. I mean, Matuzak was really good in that, but Arnold would have brought like a whole nother marketing tier to this, and the whole trajectory of pop culture would have changed.
That's a good one. Yours has like nuance and thought. I like that.
All right. So, all right. What is your number 3, Sam?
Okay. So my number 3, this is a little bit more generic, but in the 80s and less so the 90s, but there was an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone competition as to who was the tougher guy and who was the bigger thing. And I just, in my mind, my number 3 would be if Arnold Schwarzenegger turned 1993's Sylvester Stallone's Cliffhanger into an Arnold Schwarzenegger action vehicle instead. It might, I honestly think that early 90s Schwarzenegger, like with a little bit more acting chops, might have actually done a decent job in Sylvester Stallone's role, because clearly he has the physicality and the stamina. That's not an issue at all. It would change the character, but that was one of the few on my list where I was like, this is not ridiculous. You could swap out Stallone, put Schwarzenegger in that movie, and it might have been like maybe a little bit bigger box office, to be quite honest, because it's an action and it's a lot of stunts. It's director Rennie Harlan. Like I like it. I wouldn't want like Sylvester Stallone to leave, but I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger could fit in that movie, where there's other Stallone movies where I'm really glad it's Stallone and not Schwarzenegger.
I 100% agree. I think Schwarzenegger could have easily have done a great job in Cliffhanger. But here's the thing. They have to completely swap movies. That means Stallone has to be in Last Action Hero.
Exactly. And then Last Action Hero would be more like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
But here's the thing. Isn't there a joke in Last Action Hero where you see Stallone in a Terminator 2 poster?
Exactly.
So that means that what is the poster in Last Action Hero? It has to be Stallone. It has to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in some Stallone movie.
It would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in like Cobra or like Rambo 2, and Arnold Schwarzenegger has like a long hair wig. Yeah.
Yes, the whole universe has to be swapped. Yeah, that's that. Oh man. Yep.
That, of all my choices, that one is actually like you could swap them out and still have a same action movie.
Yeah, because Stallone delivers a very, very still did performance in that movie.
He does. He's like, oh, I'm sad. She
died. Oh.
She died. I'm sad.
All right. My number 3, Sam, I think you're going to appreciate this or be offended by this or get a kick out of this. I don't know. But I'm just going to throw it out there. 1967. You Only Live Twice. I'm replacing Donald Pleasance with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Blofeld.
Whoa. That is. That is not like you have the unique factor is like
I'm mixing it up here.
Yeah.
I think Pleasance, he delivers probably the most definitive, iconic, Bond villain. I think of like the volcanic lair, and he's got that soft menacing charm, I guess. And it's probably just maybe one of the more iconic Bond villains I think of when, back in that era. But Arnold as Blofeld, the whole dynamic flips. And, Bond isn't facing a soft-spoken genius, but he's up against finally a villain who can really, throw Bond into the volcano himself. Like he's in his I want Arnold to monologue for like a minute. I think it'd be hysterical. I don't know.
That is not bad. Like I act like young, like bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean?
I don't know how young he'd be, but I'm just because this is 1967. So
yeah.
I mean, he'd be a teenager.
Oh yeah, he'd be like a kid. Yeah.
Was he born 1947 or I forget how old he is.
Something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, he'd be pretty young, but still, I'm not the years. This could be like mid-aged Arnold Schwarzenegger, but still, just I just think it'd be interesting putting Arnold as a Bond villain. That's where I put him.
Not bad. Like it's actually, I would still like. I'd be like, oh, I'd watch that. Yeah.
Well, picture just Bond fighting through like waves of henchmen, and then reaches Blofeld, and Blofeld's waiting. His sleeves rolled up, saying, "Come on, Bond, let's finish this."
It's like, well, James, no time for a martini now. The only thing you'll be drinking is shaken and dead.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes.
That's awesome.
He could still do it. Why not?
He could.
You're rooting it. Why not?
That is not impossible. Yeah. I actually kind of like that one. Yeah.
Not impossible. If our current administration wants it to happen.
Yeah. They'll force it. That's true. Yeah. Oh my God.
All right. What is your number 2?
Oh, my number 2. I am so ashamed. I'm leaning crazy into the comedy again. This is an insane one. And this would change the movie and make it a ridiculous comedy. I was thinking he could take Tom Cruise's role from Interview with the Vampire and be the main vampire to Brad Pitt's Lestat. He'd be like, it's not that bad. Be a vampire. Stop whining. He's like, this is a good life. Stop eating rats. We should eat people instead. Let me teach you how to be a vampire. And my choice, again, like some of my other choices, was pure comedy because it's him. I almost thought of giving him Antonio Banderas' role in that movie, but because he's like supposed to be French, it's just too ridiculous. Not that it's not ridiculous.
Oh, we saw Arnold Schwarzenegger try to pull off a French accent in True Lies.
Oh God. Oh yeah. Oh God. So that's my insane. I'm veering heavily towards the comedy in that one.
Right. And by the way, it's Tom Cruise. It plays Lestat, and Brad Pitt plays Louis in that. So
yes.
Yeah, that's right. I don't check.
Oh, you're going to love it. My number 1 is better, though. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my number 2 is definitely going to bring in the hate mail. I'm going to the Star Wars franchise.
Ooh.
And I am recasting. All right. Forgive me for this. Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because where else am I going to put him?
So instead, he's like, yeah, Chew is just going to, yeah.
So, Mayhew, he's so, Mayhew's great in this. I'm going to give props to the original actor in all my picks here because he's so expressive. His body language made Chewie iconic, and he defined, Wookiees for generations. But Arnold stepping into the first suit, doesn't replace Chewie. It creates an alternate universe Chewbacca.
Yes.
That I think is somehow even more chaotic. And the Grauls become Austrian, And I picture this though, Sam. So when he repairs the Falcon, it involves more brute force than actual mechanics, and he rips out broken parts. He slams the panels closed with a fist, like yelling, "Chewie, punch it!" And he generally creates concern for everybody when he says that. Maybe
That's pretty awesome.
The physical comedy, like we're going nuclear with the physical comedy in this here. And
oh yeah,
but the tenderness is still there though, because Arnold is, secretly he's great. He's a big softy in his heart. That's the thing. And Chewie, that's what defines him. So what happens though, as Arnold Schwarzenegger's Chewbacca, the Chewbacca character becomes like one of the biggest characters in the franchise. He gets his own spinoff. Chewie gets merchandise even bigger than Yoda. I'm telling you.
Oh, God.
He becomes the number one Halloween costume for boys. Arnold's growl becomes the playground sound, that everybody says, anyways, it's amazing. And
he gets his own like spin-off movie where he has to like fight a wildebeest in his forest homeland and stuff like that.
It's amazing. So again, missed opportunity. They could have had him. He was right there. 1977 or 1976.
He was
right there.
Tall too. He's got the big
God.
body. Yeah. That's not terrible. Yeah.
George blew it.
Yeah. George.
All right. The hate mail is coming for that one.
It's going to be awesome.
All right. Your number one.
My number one, and this one I'm more proud of. It changes the whole dynamic of the movie, but because Arnold Schwarzenegger is Austrian and he's got that vibe, it's not a huge stretch, even though it is. I would be interested in putting him in Sean Connery's role in The Hunt for Red October.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's pure comedy, but he could do the Russian thing maybe,
Oh yeah.
Like it would certainly change the movie. Probably would not
Didn't
be
he
as
play a Russian in what's that movie with James Belushi?
Red Heat. Yeah.
Red Heat.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I saw all of it or not. I don't remember, but yeah. All right. My number one, again, Sam, you're gonna appreciate this, I think. All right. So I'm going to tie this all the way back to James Cameron. I'm going with his 1997 film Titanic. And there's plenty of characters to replace him with, but I am going with one of the smaller roles in here, but a very critical role. I'm replacing Bernard Hill, the captain of the ship, Edward J. Smith, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, he was a great British actor. I think he passed last year, also known as King Theoden in the Lord of the Rings films. Love this guy. He was great in everything he did. But he portrayed Captain Smith with a lot of restraint and dignity. And he's one of the film's most grounded performances, I'd say. But we're going to enter Arnold into this, and the film becomes mythic and larger than life with energy. The iceberg moment becomes legendary. So he could scream out hard to starboard now, I don't know. I just love it. And then when he goes down with the ship, it just becomes the most iconic hero shot in cinema history. Or actually, better yet, you know what he does? He jumps out of he jumps out and he battles the iceberg and he starts pounding it, and he single-handedly probably fights the iceberg and wins, Yeah, that's what he does. He leaves the bridge, faces the iceberg. He climbs out on the bow of the ship, Arctic water probably splashing on his face, and he stares down the iceberg and, not on my watch. And the rest of the movie is about his hero's welcome in New York, and we never actually return to Jack and Rose. And we just assume that Jack is shot by what's his name's henchman, and Rose has that miserable life married to that asshole, and that's the end. So I think that's both our top 5 movies the Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't in that he should have been in. And let us know what you think of our picks. Do these hold water? Did these original filmmakers miss their opportunity to cast Arnold Schwarzenegger? We think so. All right. Well, I think that is it for this week. So we will be back in 3-4 weeks or so with our review of James Cameron's Avatar, Fire and Action. All right. That is our show for this week. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Wested Media Podcast Network. Special thanks to Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the Fallout Shelter. If you are enjoying our show, please subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. You will find all of our episodes at backtotheframerate.com. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
want you to know it's over.
Well, bye.